has been a couple of weeks since my last live stream. I'm still very much dedicated to doing book club, but man, life has been very, very busy recently. We've got a lot going on. It's that time of the school year in China where graduation is steadily approaching, and we have a lot of. It's very performative at the end of the year, so like they'll have to like learn a bunch of dances and a bunch of songs that they have to sing and perform for their parents at graduation. They have an art show that they will have three or four different types, like art, like they'll have paintings and drawings and all kinds of fun stuff that they're going to put on display. And so our days are so busy and so full. Whenever I come home, I have just a little bit of time for the YouTube channel, but I am absolutely fired up about the YouTube channel right now. Regardless of all the reports and the parent meetings that I have to do, I am I am so excited about the growth of the channel recently. It has got me going. So I can I can see I'm currently streaming to 0 people, which is awesome. So maybe you guys can watch this on the replay. But yeah, so we're talking today about Three Hearts and Three Lions by Poul Anderson. Let me start by answering the question I posed in the preview. Yes, this is my absolute new favorite novel. It is amazing. The it I think how would I describe it? It is quintessential fantasy. What you have is, let's make sure we got the top chat, live chat, all messages are visible. Excellent. Um, so what you have with Three Hearts and Three Lions is the 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 blueprint for a Dungeons and Dragons campaign. We have a hero who is displaced out of time and his world, and he comes across a suit of armor and a horse, and these are his most precious allies going forward. Um, he meets a few other characters that are vital to the story, Alienora and Hughie, and they go off on an adventure together to uncover why Sir Holgar, the protagonist's name, why Sir Holgar is in this world, and how he got there, and how can he leave? How can he get back home? And throughout this book, it's 156 pages. It is tiny. Actually, I read the digital version of it, but it is very small. When you compare it to like modern novels, like 300 pages is pretty standard for modern novels. I'm going back and I'm looking at all these Appendix N books, and they're all around 120, 150 pages, and they are packed full of content. Sir Holgar, in 156 pages, he befriends a dwarf, a shape shifting swan lady from the forest, like a druid, kind of, a forest dweller, another fighter later in the story. He encounters a hag. He encounters an elven king who is aligned with the forces of chaos. We'll get into the law versus chaos in a moment. Overcomes that obstacle. He fights a dragon. He fights a werewolf. He goes up against a giant, a troll, Morgan Le Fay, the powerful witch. In 156 pages, they they go from Paul Anderson. He goes from encounter to encounter, building a perfect micro narrative in each one, and you're never wondering like where's the action. That does not happen in this book. Like there's never a time where it's like, oh, when is he gonna get to it? The story go page by page. They're constantly in it and involved with it, with some sort of tense conflict, and it is amazing. I absolutely loved it. I could talk about it for an hour at least straight, even to myself. But of all, okay, so of all the encounters in that book. Go ahead and post in the comment which one did you like the most. I I mean he beat the dragon. He got. Let me know if I'm forgetting any. He encountered the hag, and she sent him to the elves. Right. That was awesome. That whole elven exchange. He turned out to be kind of a player in that scene. Right. Like he was hooking up with that elven mistress. Um, he fought the dragon. He got the giant. Right. He did the little trick to defeat the giant. I think that's like the standard one from like from Tolkien, right? Uh, what else did he fight? Oh, the troll. We'll get to that one. That one was like really sad. Um, the werewolf. Oh, the werewolf scene was so good, right? And all of these incidents are like 4 pages, and the way it's all tied together. By the end of the book, you get to the abbey where the magic sword is, and you're like, okay, so there's 3 pages left, or there's 2 pages left. How are we going to resolve everything? And that's the only criticism I have of Three Hearts and Three Lions. My new favorite novel is the ending. It felt like it was I don't know, like it felt like it was tied to like maybe a different book. Like I don't know. I was not very happy with it. It was kind of disappointing the very at the end. So I was hoping to see him ride out into the forces of chaos and like just cut swaths into everybody, saving the day. I was kind of hoping to learn a little bit more about Carahew as well. That character was kind of left unexplored. We know like he was on a quest to like reunite. We kind of got an idea that they were friends, once foes, by the last like sentence of the book. They just throw that in. He just throws that in there. But all in all, amazing book, top to bottom. I love how Sir Holgar was a man of science and reason, and throughout the book, Anderson gave us like examples of like how magic would make rational sense, and how he could use his reason to overcome some of these like mystical creatures. I thought that was like super clever. I don't see any chat. I'm thinking maybe I didn't turn it on. Yeah. All right, let me just scuffed chat. Scuffed chat. Okay. Um yeah, I mean, I loved it. It was just like, oh well, this blade of burning. Well, it's just a magnesium blade, and we could probably get it sparked up and start a fire, and it'll burn under. It'll burn even underwater. Oh, that's right. He beat a Nixie as well. He beat a band of barbarians. How did he get all of this in 156 pages? I'll be reading a modern novel nowadays, like just chapter after chapter of just dialogue, and you're just wondering about the pacing. Like, when are you going to get to it, man? Appendix N is where it's at. They have got some amazing books in there. Absolutely loved it. What do you guys think about the book? Let me know. I'm very curious, like what really stood out to you about Three Hearts and Three Lions. Um, Favorite characters for me. Okay, Hughie right away. That broke my heart. I mean, let's compare the death of Hughie to what is that dwarf's name from the Dragonlance series? He I forgot just because it's like so insignificant. Like we had 156 pages of Hughie. We had 3 novels of this other dwarf who I can't even remember his name. That's how like bland of a character he was. All I can remember about him was that he was afraid of water. The death of Hughie at the end of that book was devastating. I was like so mad and so sad at the same time because I felt like he was the heart of the team. And after he died, the story just everything wrapped up so quickly. It felt like we didn't get enough time to like really address that. I know it was probably a lot about the pacing, but yeah, let me know what you guys think about Three Hearts and Three Lions, about our player Sir Holgar trying trying to beat back the women with a stick. That dude was like he was crushing it. Has anybody read the book? Because let me tell you, If you haven't, you need to. Absolutely brilliant. I wrote down some notes, things that I wanted to discuss, um, some themes that were coming up for me. But what really stood out for me the most in the book was how Anderson was able to translate magic and fantasy into the real world in such a way, and not just like with the reason, with like how like the magic spells would work and things like that, and how um, uh, how like the treasure on the troll or on the giant was like radioactive, and he used science. That was cool. I love that kind of stuff. Like that really stood out to me. But also like the history of the real world, like the locations, how he was able to tie all those things together, even like the identity of the hero at the end. Like he was able to like take a little bit of everything that we fantasize about and that we dream we could be, and everything that exists in the world, and the way like it was all put together in the end was just absolutely brilliant. um, if you haven't read it, you should. That's all I'm saying. Check it out. Three Hearts and Three Lions isn't the only book that I read, because it's been, I think, 2 weeks since last book club. But like I was saying, it's graduation season right now. Everybody is so busy, and like I come home, I have like 20 minutes to work on a script, and that's about it. But I am, like I was saying, I'm so hyped about the YouTube channel now that like hey, what's up? How are you? How are you? Now that people are actually in the chat, um, the YouTube channel has been growing so much recently. I am very blessed and very happy and grateful to everybody who subscribes, who comments, who watches the videos and shares them. All the people over on X, like you guys are great too. I love all the chats. I have noticed like since let's see, for about since I posted the gold as XP video, the hostility has grown a lot, in my chat and also on X. I've noticed like um, just a lot of haters. People be like, "This is the worst idea I have ever seen. This is the worst video ever." Um, but whatever, like I've actually kind of gotten a little bit used to it to a certain extent. I still read it and I kind of laugh now. And what I'll post is like, "Oh, thanks for the engagement. That's awesome, man. Thanks so much. Thumbs up." It's great. So yeah, I have noticed like a rise on X where like it feels like everybody's coming after the Bro SR, and our ideas, um, denying that the ideas exist, denying that they're actually playable, um, admitting that they're playable, but nobody would ever want to. Admitting that they have actually played it, but then they stopped doing it, and actually, we use that rule all the time back in the day, but we gave it up because it's boring. Like, these campaigns will fall apart. It's like, what campaign have you ever heard of that doesn't fall apart? I don't know. Like, after some time, like my current game that's been going for almost 2 years now, it's it hasn't fallen apart. It's slowed down with graduation. It does come in seasons, like around Christmas time, Chinese New Year, and graduation season. There is like usually like a lull in the amount of sessions that we have, but it's still going strong. And I'm like, I've never had a campaign that's lasted this long before, and I still get messages like, "Oh, here's what I'm doing in my downtime," because there's going to be plenty of downtime right now with everybody working so much. And so, like the idea that these campaigns just fall apart is just absolutely absurd. I'm not like theorizing about Dungeons and Dragons right now. Like whenever I'm talking about it, I'm talking about my campaign that's going strong for almost 2 years running. Like it is not going anywhere. How are you, Mom? I see you're in the chat. Roxy's in the chat. Roxy's my moderator. She'll kick out anybody who causes any trouble. But I also read one of H.P. Lovecraft's short stories, and it was pretty short. It was the music of Henrik Zahn, I think is what it was. Oh man, now I forgot the title of it. It was short. I read it in like 15 minutes. Um, I I absolutely love that story. It was, I think what I really liked about it was that it taps into this extra dimensional space idea where, like you can be just walking along, and I think it kind of ties in a little bit to Three Hearts and Three Lions, where like you can just be going about your normal day and stumble into a different universe. And that's kind of the theme that I got from Zahn, is that it's about a university student who's staying at like a rental home, and it's like a 5-story place, and at the very top floor there's a musician that lives there, and the narrator, he was on the 4th floor. He could always listen to the music and hear what this violist was playing, and it was like this eldritch, like creepy horror music, and he was like, there's something about it just kind of like it messes with me, and like I need to meet this guy. I need to like understand what it is that he's playing. And as you ascend the different floors, you're taken to another realm. And it's not all revealed right away, but poor Zahn has been trapped on this floor, and maybe not trapped, but definitely like entranced while he's there. And he's playing this music, and it's like he's doing battle with this eldritch horror, like the devil went down to Georgia kind of theme, where like they're having a fiddle battle back and forth, to to like either ward off the monster, or maybe like to try to conquer it, or summon it. It was never quite clear, which is awesome and what we love about Lovecraft. But the same idea, right? Like you're teleported into a new dimension, and then there you are. So yeah, it was a short one. It was good, and I liked how it was like the same theme as Three Hearts and Three Lions. So yeah, I don't think my mom has ever read Three Hearts and Three Lions, but it's a short fantasy novel, Mom, and you should check it out. So after this, at let's see, I think at 9 o'clock, um, Dundermoose, at This Is Dundermoose channel, he is going to be hosting a live stream with uh, B Dubs, and yeah, I didn't think you had. He's hosting a live stream with B Dubs and with Jeffro Johnson. So I'm almost certain everybody right now is like prepping for that one, because it's like a big one in the community. I was actually a little devastated to see that they had scheduled it for that time, because it's like, oh man, nobody's gonna have time to make it to my stream if that one's happening, because it's gonna be big. Actually, whenever I'm done with this, I'm going over to This Is Dundermoose. So make sure that you check him out. If you haven't yet, go to This Is Dundermoose at YouTube and make sure you subscribe to him, because that guy is awesome. He is a kind-hearted, generous person, and he is the kind of person that you should be subbing to on YouTube, because he makes good content, and like he's a promoter, right? Like he brings people together. He connects us. So yeah, go check out his stream after this one. We are currently talking about Three Hearts and Three Lions, and how it might be the best fantasy novel ever written. I don't think I'm going too far in saying that, because in the three Dragonlance books that I read, the original three, there was less action. I think each of those was about 300 pages. So in that 900 pages I read, there was less action altogether than in the 156 pages that I read for Three Hearts and Three Lions. Just punchy, moment to moment, page to page. The chapters were short enough to where like I could read like 1 or 2 chapters after coming home from work, and never feel like I'm just waiting for something to happen. Every page something was happening. And I was asking in the chat, like, what is it? Which of those interactions was the most interesting to you, and which one resonates the most? I have two that really come to mind. When it comes to the troll incident, I felt like the pacing of that was perfect. We felt the fear of the troll encounter long before it came. Everyone was terrified of it. It was enough to drive an army of men away. And when we do encounter him, when he starts shifting through the mud and the leaves and he rises up this towering beast, I felt like I felt the excitement of that moment. And I don't know if Paul Anderson was the guy that invented fire kills trolls. I don't know how long in the history of like fantasy that's been a thing, but as far as back as I've read now, that's the first incident in history of the fiction that I've read that has introduced that. So I'm wondering how much of D&D did he make? You know, like there was a lot of like classic things that somebody on Twitter was like, "Oh, it's a great book, but now it's all been done. It's so rote now." And I'm like, "Well, not to me. I'm going into it with fresh eyes." And if this guy, Paul Anderson, if he's the one who set all these like traditions and standards in D&D, that wouldn't surprise me. It's so perfectly done. It was D&D in 156 pages. It was perfect. So yeah, the troll encounter was hugely impactful to me because not just the pacing, but because obviously Hughie dies. Like it was so sad. Like the the heart and soul of the group gets gutted by a troll, and he was so like based about it. He was just like, no, 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 don't be sad about this because I gave that troll just as much as I got. Oh, Roxy's gonna read it. You should. Um, I would say that as a non-native English speaker, there are going to be some challenges you're going to face because as a native English speaker and teacher, there were lines in the book that are very difficult to read because it's written in the dialect of dwarf of like old English, and so when you're reading it, they're not full sentences. They're how somebody would say those sentences phonetically. And so there's like instead of saying Holgar, the character's name, they just put Olga, like Olga, Olga. And so like you can actually hear the sound of their accent if you're reading along the lines. They cut off lots of consonants and but if you so what I found is that as I'm reading it, I would just kind of like quickly pop through it and try not to analyze what word is this supposed to be and just make the sound in my head. And it was actually quite easy to do. Like once I like got the habit of it, I was like, okay, so I'm just gonna pop, 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 pop from word to word, and then just let the sound come to me, and then I'll figure it out. And then the sentences actually make a lot of sense. It was man really cleverly written for him to have. He had Hughie's accent and he had Alienora's accent, and they're not quite the same, but they do have similarities in the way that they you need to kind of phonetically sound them out in your head to kind of figure out what they're saying. Brilliant, absolutely brilliant. He basically made dialects, which is impressive. So, and he did it in 156 pages. I can't keep commenting on that enough. How impressive this book is to be so short and so alive, so vivid. Really loved it. I can't. I want to find another book by this guy. I know that he's done a couple others. There were some comments on X about, oh, you should read this one next. So I'm gonna check him out. I have a long list of books I'm trying to get through with Appendix N. I'm still doing Conan. That's the one I'm gonna start next. I'm gonna do one of the short stories in ABC order. So that one's next after because I just finished the H.P. Lovecraft. So novel, H.P. Lovecraft, Conan, and then repeat the cycle. I'm gonna try to get back through the Chronicles of Amber because I started that series but I never finished it. So I bought a book that has all 10. It's this big, but that's the thing. Again, one of those books is actually only 120 pages. So. Oh, I was talking about Three Hearts and Three Lions, John. Um, Hughie and Alienora have these really weird accents, these dialects, and if you're not trying too hard, you can read it. If you're trying too hard, you're gonna be like, what are they trying to say? But if you just kind of like roll with it a little bit, you're like, just say it out loud or say it in your head, and you can follow along. I was really happy with the way they put those. It brought the characters to life, in my opinion. So yeah. Um, the only issue I had with the book, I'll say again, was the ending. Yeah, it felt so rushed because the pacing of the book is just so brilliant. Um, oh, it has. Oh, yeah. John says, thanks. Your stream has already inspired me to read Three Hearts and Three Lions. If I remember correctly, some of those may have been inspired by Scots. Yeah, yeah. I think it is a Scottish accent. I have a couple Scottish buddies here, and I used to work with a Scottish guy back when I was in America. And yeah, you have to kind of. Oh, okay, for sure. Oh yeah, good point. Leaning in a little bit. Um, yeah, no, the ending, man. I feel like there was an ending to the book, and maybe like Paul Anderson died or something, and the last two pages were written by somebody else, and they just kind of like strapped it onto the end. If you're gonna read the book, I don't want to ruin the ending. It just it was so rushed, and I felt like it wasn't even a part of Three Hearts and Three Lions because the pacing was just so intense, and you felt like every interaction was so interesting, engaging, and potentially lethal for the characters. And then you get to the last two pages, and they wrap up a lot of information very quickly, they being Paul Anderson. And when he does that, it just feels like an afterthought, which is a little frustrating. It would have been cool to see, like, if he wanted to end the book when he pulls Cortana and then have a second book that would describe the war against chaos. That would have been cool. Um, but, oh, you have read it before. Oh, nice. Yeah, well, to be honest, the ending was pretty forgettable, man. Yeah, so he says that he read it before, but he doesn't really remember because it was so long ago. The ending, yeah, it the ending was pretty forgettable. To be fair, it was two maybe three pages, and he goes back to his own timeline. He saves the world in his timeline because he's fighting the Nazis, and and then they're like, well, yeah, so you're the hero of both worlds, which is cool. I really like that. I just feel like there was more to say, and I wanted to see him using Cortana in action. I wanted to see that, like, you get like these ideas of like Excalibur or like Cortana, like these really cool magic items, and you wanna see him cut swaths through through elves or whatever. But it is what it is. I did start a 5e solo campaign for the YouTube channel, and I named it Sir Horgar, Alienora, and Hughie. I'll probably do a Kara Hugh as well. I was kind of a little. I wanted to see the pacing to see, like, is it going to be too much if there's like 3 or 4 heroes? Because 5e is very different than old school D&D, like first edition or basic. Like one character's turn can take quite a while. And so I tried it with 3. I think I could probably push a 4th, especially if it's Kara Hugh, because it's just going to be a fighter. So I might make a character for him too, and then we'll do our own adventures. When I find my first magic sword, I'll name that Cortana, and we'll tell our own story of Three Hearts and Three Lions. He was okay. So Anderson was prolific. Okay, so yeah, he wrote the book for like a deadline. Yeah, that could be it. I mean, to be fair, like I'm looking at the catalog for so many of these Appendix N authors, and it's like 18 Tarzan books, 500 John Carter books. Like, there's a lot of these. That's Burroughs who did that. The Chronicles of Amber, there's 10 of those in total. I think I read the first one when forever ago. So I'm gonna reread those. There's a lot of Conan, a lot of H.P. Lovecraft. Those I have the full collection of those. Those are weighted. If I put them on the desk, I can't even put them on the desk when I'm like talking about book club, because if I do, like, it slams the table down and then the camera goes like this. Oh yeah, I love that though. Oh, anyway, so I was saying, like, what I really enjoyed about Holgar was that he was a player, man. Like, he had a good sense about it. Like, he knew, like, he was like, okay, I can just hook up with this chick because, you know, whatever. She's like a side chick. She's not gonna be somebody who matters to me. And so he's like, like beating him off with a stick. He's got the Nixie chasing him down. He's like, man, that was a missed opportunity. And I thought that was hilarious. He's like, oh, if only I'd stayed down there for just like a couple more hours. He's fighting off Morgan Le Fay, making out with her. And, but the feelings that he has for Alienora, I think really display his humanity because the, like, he had the same kind of like the sexual desire for her, the passion for her, but he was able to like use his reason and his genuine feelings for her to like not just kind of use her and abuse her. And that choice to not just, toss her aside when he goes back home like he could so many other women in his life, I think that kind of captures what it is to be a man, or at least with my experience. Because like there's all these women that you meet in your life, and like you you're in the moment. It's like, oh, this is so cool, so great. But then you finally meet like the one, and that like that one person is such a different experience than every other person that you've met before that. That like you have to treat that relationship so differently than maybe your instincts would want you to, and so that way you can preserve it and like actually make it grow into something that's like more special and more beautiful. But sadly, in the book, the poor bastard gets teleported away after he finds out that he's in love with this woman and she's in love with him. They finally come together and like have this genuine real connection that could last forever. He gets zapped back to his own world, butt ass naked, and he has to fight his like way through an army of Nazis to save the world again. It's like it's a great book. Yeah. So next up, I am going to be reading Conan. Conan's up next. I am trying to get through that series. It's not a chore. Every Conan book I read is they're short stories, but they're awesome. So brilliant. Can't wait to get into that one next. Yeah, so I mean, yeah, what do you guys want to talk about? For sure, like I can talk about books all day. Talk about how things have been going in China. The channel is growing. I'm having a blast with it. It's been so cool getting this kind of like community built around playing D&D. It's awesome. Like I know a lot of people, they get into YouTube to make a career for themselves. I am blessed. I am an old man. You might not know it, but I am 40 years old. The book is called Three Hearts and Three Lions. Where in China do I live and why? That is an excellent question. I live in Beijing, China, and I live here. Um, well, the why is that's a really good question. Um, Roxy says it sounds like it's some kind of punishment for what he did before, and only from the experiences will he know what true love is. Yeah, I mean, I think he knew what he was doing in the moment wasn't love. Whenever he was hooking up with the Faye girl, and when he was thinking about hooking up with the Nixie, and when he was making out with Morgan Le Fay, he was thinking to himself like, this is fun. Like this is just cool for the moment. And when he met Alienora, he broke her heart. He really, really hurt her. And when Alienora saw him kissing Morgan Le Fay, just like in that moment of passion and like not giving any kind of forethought to Alienora, it hurt her deeply. And only through her forgiveness and her goodwill, good nature, was Sir Holgar able to find love. And I think that's really important too, because if she would have held on to that, like that hurt, and maybe used it as a knife later whenever Karahue was making his advances at her, there would be no chance for either of them to find love. So I think it really just came from that gentle nature of Alienora, to be fair. But I want to get back to John's question about why do I live in China? I live in China because, okay, so a lot of people have this idea about what China is, who haven't been here. And so they think like, it's a communist country and like it must be really scary and like crazy. They eat dogs, but actually that's not really true. It is a communist country, but it is so capitalist in its dominant in its day-to-day interactions that you won't really encounter the Communist Party in any way. Everyone here is trying to make money, and they are super based. You don't have to deal with any kind of modern politics that you would deal with in America. I've only spent 5 days in America since 2018, and it was different for sure. Everybody was. I don't want to get demonetized, but I'm not demonetized. I'm not monetized, so. But I don't want to get offensive. Everybody was pretending to be something that they're not over there, and so it's really nice to come back to China where everybody, like, boys are boys, girls are girls. Husband and wives are a good thing. There's nothing wrong with like having a marriage. All these like really weird concepts in the West right now. It's just kind of confusing. And they pay me really well because I'm a specialist. So there's a lot of money to be made. Lots and lots of money. So what I was saying is that like a lot of people come to YouTube because they want to make a career out of it. I am blessed in that my job takes care of my life, and Roxy works because she wants to. She doesn't have to. Like, we are very, very, very lucky and blessed, and we are happy. And what it does is it gives us the ability to create and share. And so I'm doing this YouTube. I buy all this gear and like I'm obsessed with it because I like sharing my ideas with people, and I really love connecting. Like, it has been so fun, like, building this community. Have I ever read Fritz Leiber's Fafhrd and the Grey Mouser stories? So I have a comic book of the stories that were like, it is his work, but I think somebody like turned him into a comic book. I haven't read it yet, but it's about like this thick, and I'm gonna get around to it eventually. Poul Anderson was an interesting fellow. He was a Catholic. That doesn't surprise me. He mainly wrote science fiction, but Christian themes often show up. Right. Yeah, that was very clear when I was reading the book that this guy was like, he submitted to Rome. Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, Roxy says, I forgot to mention I have a hot Chinese wife. No. Okay, so here's another thing. So I'm not, hey, what's up, Zoo? I am not trying to be offensive when I say this, but in the West, it is hard to find a traditional man-woman-wife dynamic. Here, it is the standard. Like, the men love their wives, they work hard, they support their family. The wife loves their husband, she supports her family, and like that is a good thing. Where like in the West, it's like, if you're a man, like you're evil, or like if you're white, you should be apologizing. Like, come to Asia. If you are wanting like a very traditional family with like with beautiful women that will be good wives to you, loyal and faithful and true, come to Asia. Not just China. There's other countries too, like Thailand, and like I know there's like a whole YouTube like subculture of people. They call themselves passport bros, I think. So like they get their passport, they move over to Asia, and then they meet like a wife or whatever, and then like they just live there and they make money, and like, because if you abandon everybody you know, your family, like everything everywhere you've ever been, if you abandon those things and you move to a place where you might not speak the language and completely different cultures, different time, like right now for me, I know a lot of you guys, it's Friday night. For me, it's Saturday. So, right. So like if you're willing to abandon all of it, you can make a lot of money and you can find a lot of happiness, but you have to be willing to say goodbye to a lot of comforts. but you also get to like experience different things. So, John, what a great question, man. I could talk about this. I could make a whole YouTube channel about this. But yeah, it's there are reasons. Roxy's definitely one of them. My brother also lives in China, so that makes it really easy. Having family here, he just got married too this year. So Roxy and I have been married for almost a year and a half, and then Steve got married this year, and so we're building families over here now, and that makes it a lot easier because it is hard. You watch your nieces and nephews. Last time you saw them, they're like 11, and now they're graduating high school. It's like, oh, you're missing so much because it's a long trip home. It's hard for sure. So, uh, it's hard in the right ways, and it's challenging in the right ways. And you get to learn new languages. You get to meet new types of people. It's not just Chinese people here. Like there are people from all over the world, um, and that's really exciting. You get to meet all different types of cultures. So yeah. Zeus says I'm red pilled. I mean, it is what it is. Yeah. It says, what work does she do, if you don't mind me asking? Roxy does like marketing. Yeah, she does marketing. She works with China Mobile, which is like a really big um, cell phone company. Yeah, yeah, she does marketing for them. Thanks for answering the questions. Very informative. I've also heard about why many people in the PRC think of the white left. Yeah, exactly, dude. They laugh at us, and it's so embarrassing because like where I come from in Louisiana, it's not like that. Maybe it is now, but whenever I grew up and like everybody I know there, they would laugh at that kind of behavior, like saying they them and like calling men women and like men dressing up like women and then competing in female sports is like it's just absurd in every way. And everybody I know back home would be like, no, that's crazy. But in other parts of America, like that is very normal, and like they would say like I'm a hate monger for my opinions and beliefs on that. But no, I just think that like yeah, it's I mean it is what it is, and I'm glad I don't live there because I would have a very difficult time interacting with people probably. Yeah. Yeah. If you're not laughing, you're crying. Yeah, that's too bad. I mean, I feel like to be fair though, it's got to be turning around. Like you see things like court cases that are going a certain way. You can see if you like check the comment section of like Disney shows now, it's like this is stupid, stupid, blah blah blah. Like the message. Like you can see like everybody in the comment section is like this is we're over it. Like so I think that maybe we're kind of going back the other way, which is good, because we want to be serious. You want to be taken seriously, especially as a country, the most powerful country in the world, the most important country in the world. You want it to be taken seriously, not laughed at like a joke. But yeah, I mean that's probably enough politics. I'm gonna offend some people, and what I'm about on this channel is bringing people together and expanding the community and like finding a place where people can enjoy themselves and not have to listen to me talk about why I think that Donald Trump is going to be the next president. Yeah. All right, guys. So yeah, whenever this is done, I'm about to wrap it up. Go check out This Is Dundermoose. He is going to have a couple guests on that are amazing. You're gonna love these guys. They're hilarious. B-Dubs never stops making me laugh, and Jeff Rowe's got brilliant ideas. He's like the visionary of D&D right now. So go check him out. Thanks for watching. Thanks for engaging. I love the questions. This was awesome, guys. Very, very cool. Oh, hello. Hey, Amanda. Hi. Good to see you. I'm actually just about to wrap it up. So check out next week. I'll be doing another book club. I will post on the YouTube channel what that book will be. It's a Conan short story. I just forgot which one it was. Like the Colossus something. Black Colossus or something. Yeah. All right, cool. So, all right, guys. It's been cool. Check out This Is Dundermoose, and I will see you guys on the next one. Bye-bye.